when you got to Guatemala, how
Yes.
was your experience on looking for the place, the ideal place for Hendrix and the needs that he had in that time?
So when we first arrived, we were looking for a kindergarten for Hendrix, and actually wasn't too difficult. We found a good kindergarten. It wasn't one for special educational needs, but they did look after Hendrix, and they did a good job in making sure that he was safeguarded, and he had all the support he needed, and were very communicative with us, and so for that part, it was not too bad. It was only when he turned a little bit older that we had to look for, I guess, a proper school for him. And that was a bit more different because then we had different needs. He was older. And we already had the autism diagnosis by then. So we really needed to find something that provided him the support. And it was hard to know what information is useful, hard to know what support is going to be beneficial for him. And so we really had to do our research, and then we came across Monarch, and I don't know if this will be a later question, but the immediate conversation with Monarch made us feel very reassured that actually Hendrix would be supported. And I remember leaving the meeting with Monarch saying, this school really gets us as a family. This school really understands us. We didn't have to explain anything. We didn't have to explain any of the needs of Hendrix. We didn't have to explain, this is our challenges, but the school just really got us. And we left thinking they really do understand us, not just Hendrix, but us as a family as well.
Yeah, of course, that was one of the questions that I had. It's, if you think about that moment, how were your needs covered as a family?
So, I mean, one of the basic things that any family needs, whether you have a child with special educational needs or not, is for someone to provide you, not just the child, but you as a family, the support and to anticipate what you might need. So where, we were used to just thinking for ourselves, okay, we need this, we need to plan for this, we need to prepare for this. We never had to do that with Monarch. Monarch will always come to us first and say, how about we do this for you? Have you thought about doing this? Basic things like we were due to be flying, or I was flying on a business trip for a week away, and we said, we're going to have to anticipate Hendrix because it's a week I'm away, and he's not so used to that. And the school said, we will write a social story and we will anticipate him and make sure the closer you get to the time, we make sure he's ready. And we didn't have to ask for that. And then I think my husband was also away for about 2 weeks. He had to go urgently to Hungary, and again we just mentioned that my husband would be away, but the school were like, okay, we'll help, we'll write a social story, we can talk him through it, and maybe we can count down the days with him. And it just made a difference to have somebody else do the thinking for you and to anticipate you, not just anticipate Hendrix, but to anticipate and offer the support, not even provide, but to offer the support before you even ask for it. And for us, that makes the biggest difference, and the biggest difference to other schools.
What were your thoughts once you got to know the program? What were your first thoughts about like the whole program and the areas that it covers?
So there was a lot of information, and for us it was the first time to have a complete picture for Hendrix and really to look at all the elements of support he needed, and then all of those anticipated and worked out with a plan for each of those elements, and then how far we want him to progress, what we're all going to do as a team. And we felt as one team with the school. It wasn't just us as the parents and then the school separately. It was one team, but it was more than that even. So for example, when we were trying to find some external activities for Hendrix to do, like he's very active, so we said maybe we should do gymnastics. How do we find a good gymnastics teacher who has experience of children with autism? And again, we just happened to mention it to the school, and they said, oh, let us have a look. And they came back with a list of 3 people we could speak to and interview. I mean, those small things, they sound like really tiny things, but they make such a big difference to busy parents who don't have the contacts, don't have the experience, don't have the knowledge, and to just be given a list to talk to, and to pick from, saves me a lot of time, saves me a lot of stress, and it saves us a lot of worry about picking the wrong person who has no experience, but they say they have experience. So just, all of that whole holistic approach to Hendrix really made a big difference. It wasn't just Hendrix in school, it was Hendrix at home, Hendrix traveling, Hendrix being in London, all of that is it's such a full picture that you don't normally get there from most schools.
Would you say that one of the biggest benefits of Colegio Monarchs program is that one, not only seeing the progress in your son's program, but also in your family?
Yeah, exactly. So, progress is measured by Hendrix's sort of objectives, but us as parents, we've grown a lot with Monarch, and we've been allowed to understand some of the challenges that Hendrix has better. We've been allowed to kind of see into his day-to-day activities at school, and to really understand where they're focusing on. So maybe, for this month, they're going to focus on communication skills, or to get him to accept different textures, and all of that we work on as a team. So the school are working on it in school, and at home we work on it at home, and then we're comparing notes. But even Hendrix has speech therapy outside of school, and the school were in contact with the speech therapist and made sure that all of the progress and objectives for Hendrix were connected with them. So they knew how he was doing in speech therapy, they knew what the targets were, they knew where their focus was going to be. So it was a whole complete team around Hendrix, and that's hard to replicate anywhere else, because Monarch were really the middle of that team. Obviously Hendrix is the center, but they were the middle of that center, and really helped to kind of keep us all focused and help us all to grow, but to grow in the same direction, not to be doing different things that don't necessarily work together.
Yeah. And if you had the opportunity to talk to a parent with a child with differences in learning styles, what would you say to that parent, considering what Monarch has to offer for them?
Oh, specifically in terms of Monarch, I mean, we have spoken about Monarch to so many parents that we met in Guatemala. We've spoken to, the embassy about Monarch. We've spoken to the education team here in London about Monarch, just, in terms of their ability to really look at your child as an individual and help to enrich their life and help them to become independent, to help them to be, their own individual person. But more than that, to provide support for you and your family. It's not just the child, it's you as a family. So, there are times when things were really difficult because there's been some major changes at home, or even just the preparation for leaving Guatemala. It was a really stressful time for us as a family, and Monarch really helped us through that transition, and it's a huge transition. But even now that we're back in London, we still speak very often to Kristen, and we send her messages like, how are things, and they said, we still have the email chat open, so if you ever need anything, just get in touch. That's really rare. So if you're a family looking for a good school that's going to give your child really good objectives, really stretching objectives, and to give them independence, to give them all the levels of support that they might need, and you as a family, then Monarch is really the place. And for us as a family, we grew massively. We gained a lot of happy moments, a lot of good experiences, and just a lot of enriching our lives. So we miss Monarch very much, because it enriched our lives in ways that we didn't expect it to. We didn't expect it to really, to wrap us up in warmth and love as it did. And so for any kind of parent with children with any diverse special needs, Monarch can really cater for a variety that we've seen, and really support your child to grow. So that would be my main message.
Thank you, Barbara. Those are very kind words. And for me, it fills my heart just to listen to it and to get to know your experience and this feeling that you also got what Monarch is about, because it's not about only each one of the students that we have, but Monarch is for the families too.
Exactly. And we probably, it took us a little bit of time to realize that. We didn't realize it straight away. I mean, it's our first experience of a school that really caters for children with special educational needs. And in any country, there are many schools, but there are not many good schools. And so for us, it was, everything was new. Everything was absolutely new. And when we compare notes with friends and, family in other parts of the world or in Guatemala, Monarch is really unique in the way it really looks after us. And if I needed to ask a question at 7 o'clock at night, I could WhatsApp one of the teachers and they would respond, or they would respond, very early the next morning. And anytime I needed something, or I had an idea, or I wanted to check something, it was very easy to be able to do that with Monarch. And those are the rare things that make it really special. Is they're accessible to the parents, they're accessible to the students, they support the student, they support the parents, and they really help the child to grow in ways that even as parents, and as parents, your child very well, but in ways that even you as parents didn't expect. So they're pleasant surprises that even as parents you did not think your child could achieve those things. And our son did achieve a lot of things in Monarch that we didn't expect at all.
Thank you. We as a team like to grow and be able to receive some feedback of our families is very valuable. So if you also have some feedback for us, some areas that you think that we should work on, I appreciate if you can share that for us too.
It's difficult because I think we assume the whole package, any feed that we'd like to see more of. Maybe perhaps more activities that involve, we weren't with Monarch for very long, so maybe if we were with you for much longer, we would have had more of those activities. But that's probably the only thing that I probably didn't see much of, is a lot of activities with other parents and other children.
Yeah.
I know there's a WhatsApp group, and when it's Christmas we get together and we come up with something, but I probably didn't see as many of the other parents or the other children as much as I could have, but my work didn't allow too much time for that. So but otherwise everything else, there's nothing we would want different. We felt we had enough support, we had enough attention, we had good access to anybody we didn't need to speak to, regular progress reports, regular updates, and just a really good team around us. So there's nothing more we could have asked for from the school, really.
Thank you, Barbara. We are truly, truly grateful to have met you and had the opportunity to work together in this journey. Henrik's brought a lot of joy to the school, to his class, lots of smiles on the faces of his children, of other students and his teachers. And you are missed here as Monarch's family.
We miss you guys a lot. Honestly, we talk about Monarch every other day. And even though we go to see the schools here, we're like, oh, we miss Monarch. We want to go back. So, we are definitely missing Monarch and Guatemala. And Hendrix, I know, is very sad that we're not able to come back. But we have grown and learned a lot from that experience. And we wouldn't change any of that for anything. So a huge thank you to all of you. And huge thank you to Monarch for taking us in, for giving us the chance to also learn and grow with you, and ultimately being our family away from our family. So when we're overseas, we don't have our family with us, but Monarch kind of helped to be our family when we didn't have our family with us. So thank you to Monarch.
Thank you, Barbara. I will be sharing all of your words with the whole team, with Christine, Olga, Renata, and Henrik's teachers. So I'm sending you guys a lot of hugs, and you have a home here in Colegio Monarch.
Thank you.
So the chat is open, as you say.
Thank you so
the mail
much,
is
Anne.
open.
It was lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.